Live on connectonair.com and remoteradioweek.org. UNESCO Remote Radio Week 2021. Get ready for a week devoted to helping radio stations broadcast remotely. Live on connectonair.com and remote-radio-week.org.
Hello everyone, welcome to this next session in Remote Radio Week. My name's Dr. Laurie Hallett, and with me is Michael Salzwedel, and he is from the Internews Bureau in Washington. He's actually based in South Africa. He's a digital media trainer and consultant, and today he's going to be talking about Mojo, mobile journalism, which some people say is radio on the cheap, but actually is radio that gets to places that old-fashioned radio can't reach. Michael, very good afternoon to you where I am, but welcome to you whatever the time is where people are watching and listening. Over to you.
Thanks, Laurie. I'm coming to you from Cape Town, where it's a bit overcast, but we're going to have a sunny and bright Mojo session. And yes, there is indeed a common misperception that Mojo is just, cheap and bad quality, but that's totally not true. And I hope to convince people in the next 20 minutes more in that regard. So we're going to jump straight into what I have prepared for everyone today. And we're going to get stuck into Mojo on a budget. Mojo, of course, stands for mobile journalism. And that's all about the art, I like to think of it as. Perhaps a bit of science as well, but mostly the art of capturing and editing and finessing and distributing high quality content to social media audiences or traditional radio audiences with not much equipment, which is the beauty of it. You can have everything you need just in your backpack, in your pockets, and with you as you go anywhere to do your work. So we're going to be looking at harnessing the power of your phone to gather, edit, distribute high quality audio content, particularly in this session, but video is obviously also a big one for Mojo, to wider audiences. The bit.ly link to this session is on your screen right now. If I could ask one of the facilitators just to pop that link into the chat so that people who are in this session are able to view these slides at a later point or follow along as we go along. A lot of the resources I'm including today do have a link, and so you'll be able to access those links via this bit.ly link, which is these slides. So yes, I represent Internews. I'm a pandemic media mentor with Internews, doing all sorts of digital geeky things, both within Internews and with their various partners and projects around the world. We do a lot of media development work, specifically focusing now on vaccine storytelling, COVID storytelling in this pandemic time. So let's have a look at this poor little intimidated smartphone in the middle of this gang of now outdated devices. The humble smartphone has replaced all sorts of things that not too many years ago we needed as separate independent items: the telephone, the alarm clock, email or post, messaging, calculators, calendars, radio, cameras, and of course music players. So now all of these devices, all of these functions are very well done by just one device, and that is the device that is sitting on your desk right now or in your pocket right now, or maybe you're even watching this session on your phone. So smartphones have become really powerful and capable in the last few years. And social media usage as well is rising extremely quickly in most countries around the world. And a trend we're seeing in most countries is that people are using their phones predominantly to access social media. So the idea as journalists is for us to meet people where they're at, and people are moving away from traditional televisions and radio sets, and they're moving to consuming content via their mobile phones. They might still consume TV and radio content, but that content is being consumed on a different device, which is the smartphone, and often via social media. So as journalists, one thing that hasn't changed with all this tech is that we still need to make sense of the world around our audiences. That's why they rely on us. That's why we create and tell stories. It's to help to make sense of what is going on in the world. This means producing factual, compelling stories, regardless of the tech that we use to produce those stories, or the tech that's used to consume those stories. And also, I can't do a digital journalism session without mentioning misinformation. So it's really important for us to use our phones responsibly and not get involved in rumor sharing and spreading fake news, but to still act as gatekeepers, of the truth. Okay, so using smartphones, particularly for audio journalism, normally we would speak quite a lot about video as well. Video being the most sort of compelling and engaging type of content on social media, according to various research. But audio is spectacularly important as well, obviously. Without good audio, your video is going to flop. So a pro of using a smartphone for producing mobile journalism is that it's always on you and there's quick prep time. No need to set up complex or heavy, complicated equipment. Your phone is always with you. It's always on. Within a few seconds, you can be hitting record and getting that interview in the moment. People don't feel intimidated by the humble smartphone. Whereas with a big TV camera or a big radio broadcast crew, they might feel a bit intimidated. They might not open up as much. And as a result, you're not going to get as powerful a story that you may get just using a simple and humble smartphone. So you can get great audio from a smartphone. You are not limited by the equipment. Smartphones let you do quick edits and uploads or distribution on the fly. So you can get something out and published as quickly as possible to reach as big an audience as possible. Using add-on mics, you can actually get broadcast quality at a fraction of the price. And you can also obviously capture photo and video, which is great to go with your audio content. Even if you're doing radio or doing podcasting, it's always good to have strong thumbnails or strong other visual elements to attract people to your audio content when they see it flashing across their screen on our social media. Cons, not too many cons, but onboard mics are not great, as we'll hear just now. That is the biggest limiting factor of smartphones for audio, but easy to get around that. Lots of great quality mics available at really good prices. Also with the phone, one con is that battery life is not great, especially when you are recording high quality audio and video and editing it as well, or going live, your battery will quickly drop. Some equipment that you need for Mojo, obviously you need a phone that's up to the task, and this does not mean you need the latest iPhone or Samsung. It doesn't even mean you need a mid-range phone. You just need an entry-level smartphone that has a headphone jack at the least, or a USB-C port, so that you can plug in that external mic. Power bank would really go a long way, because when we really need our batteries to be full, when we really need our batteries, they tend to be empty, and when we really don't need them, they tend to be full. That's just the Murphy's Law of smartphone batteries. So make sure you have a power bank with you if you're going out into the field, so you can keep your phone nice and juiced up. Storage. This mostly applies to video, but high quality WAV files being recorded onto phones can also use a lot of storage. So make sure you have enough storage space for what you set out to do on a given day. And it's easy to extend the storage of your phone if you have an Android phone by just using one of these extra little mini SD cards. Then extras. People can go crazy with all sorts of extras for their Mojo kits. And it's quite overwhelming what's actually out there and available to extend and enhance your production. But the most important thing is really just a good quality extra microphone that you plug in to your phone, either via your stereo jack or via your USB-C ports, your lightning ports, or via Bluetooth. Those are the four main ways of connecting a microphone to your phone. You can also actually use your professional XLR radio mics with a phone, just with the right connector with something like an iRig. Lets you plug in any studio quality XLR mic straight into a phone, which is fantastic. Stability helps a lot, obviously not only for video, but just to keep your hands free. If you're wanting to record an interview, obviously the less your phone is moving around, the less bumps and scratches you're going to get in your audio. So stability is a good idea. A tripod's a good idea, even if just for audio. Lighting obviously applies to video and lenses as well. Let's talk a bit about the various types of microphones that have sprung onto the scene for mobile journalism. This is a very new kind of marketplace, videography or audio cell phone accessories, only a couple of years young, but there's clearly a huge market for this kind of stuff. Many journalists and content creators are expressing interest in and buying these types of equipment because they've realized you don't need a high-grade professional broadcast camera or a high-grade professional Zoom recorder or whatever it is to get high-quality video and audio. You can get right up there to pretty much near the top available pro quality by paying much less. This is a brand I really like to recommend. It's called Boya. The quality of Boya is pretty much 95% of the quality of Rode, which is regarded as the top name in sort of mobile microphones, but you're going to be paying about a third of the price for Boya. So if you are on a shoestring budget and you're okay with just slightly below the absolute best possible quality, then I would recommend going for Boya. Your average listener is really not going to tell the difference between a Boya and a Rode, but they will tell the difference between a Boya and just your onboard microphone on your phone. And I'll play a clip just now to demonstrate the massive difference that exists there. So something like this is the Boya BY-M1. This is your sort of low-cost entry-level smart lav mic. There are cheaper ones than this from other brands, but I wouldn't recommend. There's some really dodgy brands out there. This is not a dodgy brand, but they are well-priced. So this is a lavalier or a clip-on mic, clips onto your clothing or to your interviewee's clothing, plugs straight into your phone, and boom, you've got good quality broadcastable audio. They also come in dual form, where it's two mics that go into one input. So that's great if you need to record your voice in high quality too, or if you are recording two interviewees. That's about $22 for two mics going into one input on your phone. Other types of mics would be your condensers or shotgun mics. This is if you are unable to clip a mic onto an interviewee's clothing or your own clothing and you need to move around. Perhaps you're covering a live event, you need to move around, the situation's changing, you need to be adaptable, you're not in a set controlled interview space. Something like this would be a better choice. And these mics also typically have a cold shoe mount, so you could put them on top of a grip so that you can move around more freely. And also this one, the Boya MM, contains a headphone output so that you can also monitor your audio while you are recording with the mic, which is really handy as well. That's about $37 US. Then, as I said, various connectivity options ranging from your typical old faithful stereo jack, stereo connector, to USB-C, which is now standard on many phones, Lightning if you're using an iPhone, and then Bluetooth if you want to go wireless. The one you're looking at now is the Boya BY DM100, which is about $60. And I've actually got one here with me, and I've recorded a clip where I'll show you we'll let you hear the difference in the sound quality between this mic and the built-in mic. Now, I've got a Samsung S21, which is quite a high-end phone, and so you'd think that the onboard mic would be pretty good, but it's not when you compare it to something like this $60 Boya microphone. So generally, the rule of thumb is that onboard mics on smartphones are rubbish. Sure, you can record a WhatsApp voice note and you can make phone calls, fine. But as soon as you want to record anything higher quality, it's going to be a no-go. So here's a little clip, and hopefully you can see and hear this. So this is just a quick video to demonstrate the difference in audio characteristics and quality between the built-in mic on a typical cell phone, which I'm using right now, and something like this, which is the BY DM100 stereo condenser mic for smartphones, which also comes with a windshield. So this is the audio directly from the phone. Now I'm going to plug in this Boya mic and we'll hear the difference. All right, so the Boya stereo condenser mic is plugged in now, and you should be able to hear a very clear difference in the audio quality compared to just using the onboard mic on the phone. Okay, so I'm not able to see comments right now, but hopefully people could hear that, and you can hear the very stark difference between the onboard mic on a flagship phone and a cheap plug-in mic from Boya. Not cheap as in no good, but well priced. We're talking about budget shoestring here. So Boya really delivers great results for a third of the price of some of the top end brands like Rode. So the difference there is super easy to hear. So it makes a big difference. So this is just then if you want to go sort of upper level and explore more options, you can also look at wireless systems like this, which is from Comica. This is a 6-channel wireless system and comes with a clamp as well as a little tripod, so you can see there. And it's great for a variety of applications, from mobile live video to vlogging, interviews, conferences. And a system like that is a little bit more pricey, but still really not extravagantly priced at about $160 US. So loads of really interesting and useful and impressive microphone solutions out there available for smartphones. Boya and other manufacturers sell often a kit which contains everything you might need to get started if you want to get started in mobile journalism. If you've got the phone, obviously, they will include in this kit that shotgun mic, which I've just shown you or demonstrated to you, as well as an LED light and a clamp for your smartphone, a ball head and an extension tube, a mini tripod, and a cold shoe mounts for the microphone. So that's pretty much a complete entry solution if you want to get going with Mojo out in the field, and that's again quite well priced at under $100, just $72 US for all of those components. So we're really not talking big money here, and this really makes a massive difference to your production quality, not just in terms of audio, but video as well, by having the stability and the light and so forth. Of course, with different connections and different accessories, it can become a little complicated. Certain mics not working with certain phones, this not working with that. I'm sure we've all encountered those kinds of frustrations. So there is a variety of adapters you can buy, not only for connecting, for example, XLR mics to a phone, but also so that you can plug in 2 mics as well as headphones at the same time. For example, here with this little Rode adapter, something like this is about 20 US, and this will plug into your stereo headphone jack on your phone if your phone is equipped with that, and allow you to plug in 2 external mics plus headphones at the same time, so that you can really monitor the audio coming in from both of those mics, make sure it's nicely leveled and balanced and that it's actually coming through, because sometimes it doesn't come through at all, and that's obviously a nightmare. The only thing worse than bad audio is, of course, no audio. So sometimes this kind of situation does happen where you plugged in your mic and you think you're good to go, but actually there's no audio signal coming in. So it's really good to be able to monitor your audio as well with something like this. Just to go back, to this mic, some of the mics do have their own headphone jacks. So, for example, this one, which would mean you wouldn't need something like this, but yeah, different approaches for different conditions. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some smartphone sound tips and tricks for Mojo, for good audio Mojo. Flight mode is the first tip, and flight mode is really important for 2 reasons. Number one is that you'll obviously avoid interruptions when you are busy recording. Phone calls, text messages, notifications, these can distract you or your interviewee. They can make a noise, they can cause a vibration, which will come through in the audio recording. So we don't want anything to interrupt. So flight mode will turn everything off. The second reason is that it also helps to save battery. because it's not looking for signal the whole time. So that's also an advantage of flight mode. If you are using the onboard mic, just the mic that's on your phone, which is sometimes all we have on us, because look, we don't always walk around carrying an external mic. Maybe some of us do, but mostly people don't always have their external mics with them. So if you are forced to record something just with your onboard mic, make sure your finger isn't blocking the microphone on the phone. And so make sure you know where your mic is. Have a look for it. It will typically be a tiny little pin prick towards the bottom of the phone. Perhaps your phone has 2 mics. Make sure you know where your mic or mics are, and that your fingers don't block the mic when you are recording. But when using, ideally try and use an external mic for much better quality. And if you are using an external wired microphone, try and avoid moving around excessively, because if you move the wire, it's going to cause scratching. And some of the mics are very sensitive to that. So just be aware of that. Get close. Of course, it's COVID, so we can't always get close. So you can also attach a mic to just an extension tube, or even a selfie stick. Just put it at the end of a selfie stick. These Boya mics come with very, very long wires, so that's no problem. But otherwise, go for Bluetooth. Then you don't have the problem of scratching a wire. But you do have to make sure you keep it charged and connected. It's also an idea to use another phone to record audio separately if necessary. This means you can set up the phone and the microphone and leave it in place and not touch it and not move around. Don't disturb it, and it frees you up to use another phone to record video at the same time. And then when you're editing, you can just bring in that audio file from the separate phone and sync it up with the video from the second phone. And another reason that using a second device is a good idea is just for backup. If for some reason your primary device fails or there's an error with the connection between the mic and the phone, it's a good idea just to have that backup. And that's easy and cheap enough to do with an entry-level smartphone and a $50 microphone. And test your audio to make sure it's working, recording. Don't just plug in the mic and think you're good to go. It's really important that you are getting a signal coming back from that mic. So monitor it with headphones, or at least if you don't have headphones, play back the audio and see if it's actually coming through on the phone. Some apps, recording apps, will let you monitor audio levels and even boost the levels. So try and use apps that allow you to do that. Generally, your native app, camera app or audio recording app that comes with your phone won't show you those levels or allow you to boost. So you might need to play with some other apps. So let's say you've gone out and gathered and recorded the content you want, you've edited it together, you're happy with what you've got, you want to distribute, you want to get it out on air. I'm not going to talk much about going on air on traditional radio. I'm sure that's been covered very much and extensively through this week, but I just want to touch briefly on what makes a good story or good content for distribution on social media, particularly, since that's where the majority of audiences are increasingly. And it's always going to come back to people. This has been true in journalism for decades. It's going to continue to be true. People love stories about people, particularly people that can relate to, or everyday heroes, people that they can just be encouraged or inspired by, or even angered by, on the contrary. So strong sense of character needs to come through. And the nice thing about audio is that obviously we can pick up not only someone's voice, but the ambient sound, the environmental sound that's happening around that person, which is an extremely important part of a story as well. So pay attention to the ambient sound that's coming through and be conscious of whether it's contributing to the story. If it's not, can you remove it or go somewhere else? If it is, can you bring the audience's attention more directly to it? Ambient audio can be a very rich part of audio storytelling. And then just, don't neglect compelling visuals. While we are mostly focused on audio this week, audio and visual go hand in hand often. And often on social media, we can't grab someone's attention with audio. They have to first click play, but we can grab their attention within 0.2 seconds with a visual, a strong thumbnail for your podcast or a strong image, whatever it is. So also just be aware of capturing compelling visuals when you are capturing and working with your audio. Various types of audio ingredients, if you like, that may be included in compelling audio Mojo. Ambient sound, interviews, obviously, yourself, whether you do a piece to camera or just a narration, a voiceover. Your own voice is a really important component of audio storytelling as well, obviously, and you can do that in high quality and to great effect with a mobile phone. Music can add a sense of emotion if used carefully to your productions, depending on what you're doing. Sound samples and effects as well, and I'll show you 2 free places to get a lot of those. Normal phone calls, obviously those are not great quality, just over normal cell phone networks, but you can record phone calls and use bits of them in productions. Bear in mind, you do need to get permission from whoever you're talking to record the call for legal reasons, and preferably establish that call over the internet where the quality can be much higher. Even a WhatsApp call, if both people have access to good Wi-Fi, the WhatsApp call is going to be of a much higher quality than a normal phone call. And then you can record that call using various apps and use bits of that audio in your production. So just a couple of different types of audio ingredients which you can work with on your phone. In terms of apps, Corin Podger in the previous session or the session before that one went through a couple of really, really good apps. So if you saw that session, great. If you didn't, check out the recording. WavePad is my preferred audio editing app and recording app for both iOS and Android. It's a free app with a paid option for premium features. And WavePad lets you record and edit on your phone or tablet and exports in really high quality, like WAV files, lossless. So if you don't want or need compression, then you don't need to use that. You're not limited to low bitrate MP3 files, as many sort of apps do limit you to. You can use almost lossless WAV files, and also do things like eliminate echoes and remove background noise, amplify your signals, which is really, really great, all on your phone. So that's WavePad for Android and iOS. For background music, there's a site called bensound.com, which contains a whole lot of tracks that you can search through via genre and use in your productions. Also, Facebook has a thing called a sound collection, which contains tracks as well as sound effects, thousands and thousands of tracks and sound effects across various genres, moods, durations, and you can choose whether to have vocals or no vocals. So you can preview those tracks or sound effects and then download them for use in your productions. It's kind of hard if you're on a shoestring budget, maybe you're a smaller organization, to find royalty-free music and effects and sounds to use. But things like this Facebook sound collection and the YouTube audio library make that a lot easier, because there's just thousands of royalty-free and free music tracks and sound effects. So this is the YouTube audio library, which is part of your Creator Studio, which you will have if you have a channel on YouTube. So that's where to find music and sound effects. And lastly, if you are interested in knowing more and learning more and doing more Mojo, then a good resource is this Facebook group, which is called #MojoFest Community. And this group was formed around the Mojo Fest conference, which happens annually. And this group is frequented by professionals from all over the world who have a lot to say and advise about equipment and techniques and storytelling using mobile phones. So do join that group if you are interested in Mojo. And then, sorry, just super lastly, I know we've run out of time now. If you are looking into a place to help you create podcasts and edit your podcasts and distribute your podcasts all for free, Anchor.fm is pretty good. It's free and it lets you upload your podcasts, and then it distributes them to all the top platforms and gives you monetization options as well. So that's a favorite of mine as well, Anchor.fm. Okay, that's 30 minutes. I'm going to stop the share and see if there are any comments. Oh, there's a lot that's come through here. Okay. How are we doing for time? Can I answer some questions?
I think you can, Michael. I think I have to go to another session, but if you're happy to answer the question, Ramakrishnan's question in particular, that would be great. I may come back. I will mute myself, but if you're happy to do that, thank you very much. A very interesting presentation. Lots of examples, which I hope people found useful. And thank you, Michael. Thanks once again.
Okay, thank you. I'll take Ramakrishnan's question.
Yeah, Michael is going, and Laura is going to leave, and I'm just coming with you for this question and round up the session. So yeah, I think we had the presentation before from Corinne, and we said in the chat that she answered also with some tools, but maybe you can answer with what audio editing software you should recommend.
Yeah, so the one I just showed, WavePad, works really well. You can experiment with the free version, and then if you need to, you can upgrade to the paid version. It's just a couple of dollars. So I'm just reading your question. Boya smartphone mics, yep, they're really good. Can you comment on your experience with audio editing on the smartphone? I would say, for complex productions, I would still prefer to use a PC. It's just easier. But if you're out in the field and you need to get something sent back to studio or out on social media as soon as possible, then it's very feasible to do basic edits on your phone, in points, out points, removing ums and ahs, and reducing the noise and so forth. So something like WavePad is absolutely perfect for that. But as soon as you want to go into kind of longer form, multi-track, highly polished productions that are perhaps not breaking news, I would probably still use a PC.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael, for all those very interesting informations. If someone wants to contact you, what's the best way?
They can look me up on Twitter. Otherwise, my email address is on the front page of those slides. If we can just put the link again into the chat.
I just wrote down that the link was a bit hard because it's a lowercase. It's an uppercase I and a lowercase L at the end. So
I did make a short one. I think I called it Mojo Radio Week.
Yeah, okay, because that was kind of tough on the presentation. So, but I managed to find it. So I shared it on the comments. So no problem. It's bit.ly-3Q226Y, and then it's an uppercase I and lowercase L, and then your video is blocked. So if you can just grant access to the video if people wants to watch it. So that's
all right. Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, yeah, so that people can access it. Thank you very much. We have to go with the WHO now to finish this English day today. Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Take care.
Connectonaire.
UNESCO Remote Radio Week 2021. UNESCO Remote Radio Week 2021. Get ready for a week devoted to helping radio stations broadcast remotely. Live on connectonair.com and remote-radio